Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the question, what is the purpose of instructional images? And that'll be a stepping stone for our week 2 goal. Okay, we're going to be building an instructional image portfolio. It showcases knowledge of a variety of instructional image types. Today specifically, we're going to look at the different communication functions of images and how that kind of gives them their instructional purpose. Now, when we talk about the instructional purpose of pictures in this course or of photos, I'm going to be referring to a list called the communication functions of graphics. Okay, this is from Clark and Lyons in 2011. They wrote a book called Graphics for Learning where they broke down the types of instructional images into 7 categories. And those categories are decorative, representational, mnemonic, organizational, relational, transformational, and interpretive. So our goal today is we're going to take a look at these. We're going to learn what they are and kind of start thinking about how we can incorporate them into our curriculums that we're designing. Okay, first we have decorative pictures. So decorative pictures add aesthetic appeal or humor to your slides. Okay, so these might not be directly related to content. They're more a decoration, but they're adding something to your slides to kind of appease the learner. We're adding some humor. We're adding something that looks really appealing in hopes that the learner will pay a little more attention. You got to be careful with decorative photos, though, because we've talked a lot in this class about extraneous cognitive load. Make sure your decorative photos aren't too interesting that they're starting to steal that show, right? That's what we want to avoid. But the first type of instructional image is the decorative image. The second type of instructional image is the representational image. Right, with a representational photo or graphic, what we're doing here is we're depicting an object in a realistic fashion, right? So you're trying to show the object in its true form. You're trying to show off certain features that should be included in that shot. And we want to just give an accurate representation of the object, right? That's a representational instructional image. A mnemonic instructional image is going to provide retrieval cues for factual information. And so maybe you've heard of mnemonic devices or phrases that help us remember things. Well, mnemonic photo is no different. Okay, it's there to help our memory. It's there to kind of build that pathway. Maybe you're teaching Spanish and you're trying to teach the word chair, right? A mnemonic photo would be a great way to do that. You could post that on your room, and then the idea is that when students are thinking of the word chair, they might think of this photo and that connection. Next, we have organizational instructional images. Okay, these types of graphics specialize in showing qualitative relationships among content. So in these types of photos, we'll typically have a comparison of some sort, and we also are focusing on those qualitative characteristics. You can see in this picture here, you could compare the size of the shoes or the color of the shoes, maybe if that was appropriate to your lesson in some way. Right? But the idea is we're showing the difference in those qualitative characteristics with an organizational instructional image. Now, relational instructional images are kind of organizational images' quantitative brother or counterpart. Okay, with a relational image, we're showing quantitative relationships among 2 or more variables. So now we're showing characteristics tied to numbers, okay, and their connection. So something as simple as a pie chart is a relational instructional image. Next, we have the transformational instructional images. What these do is they show stages of something happening either over time or over space. Right? Transformational instructional images show changes in objects over time or space. So maybe we're looking at how our change jar fills up over time, right? That would be an example of a transformational instructional image. We're showing that change coming in and increasing as we get more and more money here. And finally, we have the interpretive instructional image. Okay, the interpretive instructional images illustrate a theory, principle, or cause and effect relationships. A lot of the time, these will be flowcharts or diagrams of that sort of thing. We're trying to iron out the details of something and kind of how that works. Here's an example from a final project I did for one of my research classes here, where we're trying to predict instructional confidence using the ADDIE method and technology. But just an example there of that interpretive instructional image. And that's all the new content I have for you today. We're trying to keep it short and sweet and just really focus on those types of instructional images. Today, the things you should be working on to finish off, there is a reading posted. Okay, I was able to find a PDF copy of that Graphics for Learning book. So you guys feel free to look through all of that if you'd like. But it is 400 pages, so specifically, I'd like you to read page 15 to 21 to really see how Clark and Lyons introduce these different types of instructional images. But the whole book is there if you'd like to look around. I think it would be a really great book to work out of for this course, although I think we're going to kind of take these types of instructional images from Clark and Lyons, and then we're going to stick with Mayer's ideas to kind of break that down. So we're going to kind of use a combination here. But it is a great textbook there. To extend your learning, there's a couple options. I have a couple web articles, one about visuals and learning, and a little mini lesson from Virginia Tech. And there's another article on graphics for e-learning from learningguild.com. I had to really look for some good sources on this week's topics. It's not as mainstream, but I was able to find a couple articles if you guys would like to learn more. We do have a quiz, right? So try out that 2.1 practice quiz, see how you do. Remember, these aren't graded, so it's just to see where you're at. And we do have an assignment, which is discussion 5. Okay, so that's what I'd like you to work on. We'll pop over to Web Canvas so we can take a look at what that looks like on that end. And then we'll call it good. Okay, let's take a look at what our module looks like on Canvas, just to give you guys an idea. Okay, our home page now has another page added for those week 2 modules. There's a little note here, and then you can check out 2.1. And like I said before, we have our notes here. Okay, the PowerPoint, if you'd like a copy of that. We have our reading to do, that is pages 15 to 21 out of that textbook, Graphics for Learning. A couple options to extend your learning, if you would like to check those articles out. There is our 2.1 practice quiz and discussion 5. So let's take a look at discussion 5. And we're keeping it pretty basic this week, or today, I should say. This is our only discussion of the week because we're going to start to get into our portfolio. But instead of doing one where replies are required, today you just have to make the post, okay? So I just want you to come up with an example of some different photo types and then to briefly describe them, right? So we're going to give an example of a mnemonic photo, organizational photo, relational, transformational, and interpretive. And then I'd just like you guys to come up with one. Maybe it ties to your content area. Maybe it doesn't. That's okay. But just come up with an example and then briefly describe it for me is all you have to do for this discussion. And then just have all 5 of those answered by Monday and you will get your points. You don't have to reply to anyone, but feel free to check out kind of what your classmates are working on. And yeah, please reach out if you have any questions like normal. Let me know by email or by Web Canvas if you need anything. I really like what you guys did with the first week. We saw some good participation on those discussions. So keep up the good work, guys. And you guys have a wonderful day.